So today I'm going to tell you why you should never upgrade your M1 Apple Silicon Mac if you want to get better gaming performance out of it, and why the M1 Max and M1 Ultra are bad deals. Hey everyone, this is Andrew Ty and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you scroll down, I have a new super thanks button, and if you make a donation, you're going to get a special highlighted comment. Any money donated is going to be reinvested back into making brand new Mac gaming content. So a question I get asked all the time is, should I be spending extra money in order to get the next level of RAM upgrade? Should I be upgrading my GPU cores? Should I be moving to the M1 Max chip or the M1 Ultra chip? And today I'm going to be talking about whether or not any of these upgrades are actually good deals, or whether you should be spending your money in other places in order to get a better gaming experience. So when you go to the Apple website and you go to the store page, you're going to be met with a whole variety of different Macs that you can buy. So the model I've selected here is the MacBook Pro 14-inch with the M1 Pro with 8 CPU cores and 14 GPU cores. If you wanted to go to the M1 Max chip with 10 CPU cores and 24 GPU cores, it's going to cost us an extra $500. The question is this upgrade actually going to be worth it? Are you going to see a noticeable improvement in gaming performance? At the end of the day, you're going to get better gaming performance if you have more system resources. And my experience with Mac gaming so far is that basically the more GPU cores you have, the faster your game is going to run. For example, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you basically have 4 times more performance with 32 GPU cores versus the base MacBook Air 2020, which only has 8 GPU cores. So the question you should be asking yourself is, should you be spending the extra $200, $300, $500, or even $700 in order to get that next level of the M1 Max chip? So my answer to this is that people are generally going to be very disappointed if they spend all this extra money in the hope of getting better gaming performance. That's because we still have some fundamental problems with gaming on the Mac. So the elephant in the room is that the most popular games being released today do not have macOS ports. For example, Lost Ark, Elden Ring, Red Dead Redemption 2, Cyberpunk 2077. Even if your Mac has the capable GPU power, it's never going to get the compatibility because the developer and the audience support is not there. However, this is only really a concern if you're trying to use the Mac as your only gaming device. If you treated the Mac as a secondary gaming machine and you have a primary one, for example, a game console or a PC or a Switch, then game compatibility becomes less of a concern. A lot of people are actually using the Mac as a work or productivity tool. They buy a Mac to take advantage of Apple's excellent build quality, customer support, and to make use of macOS. And what they want to be able to do is to play a few games afterwards too. And for a lot of people, they don't care that the Mac can't play all games. They just want to be able to play some games very well. So personally, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 on the M1 Mac, and this game runs fantastically. This is a AAA RPG that runs well from the base M1 MacBook Air, and it can run up to 4K all the way up to the M1 Ultra because it's a native ARM application. And I'm not really worried about general compatibility because I have a gaming PC to rely on, so I can get my fix of games like Apex Legends and not have to worry about it not working on the M1 Mac. So therefore, when it comes to looking at upgrades, I would heavily discourage people from doing any of these upgrades until they have purchased a primary gaming device. And that's because the upgrades themselves are so expensive. Say for example, you wanted to upgrade your M1 Pro machine to the M1 Max. At the very bare minimum, this is going to cost you $500. Now $500 is a huge amount of money. It is going to improve your gaming performance on your Mac. However, it could also be used to fund a primary gaming machine. So you could buy a PlayStation 5, you could buy a Switch, you could even buy something like a Steam Deck for $400, and this is going to be able to play far more games at better compatibility than the M1 Mac. So the difference is going to be exaggerated even further when you're looking at something like the Mac Studio and you want to do an upgrade from the M1 Max chip to the M1 Ultra. The M1 Ultra is going to have up to double the number of GPU cores, but it's going to cost you a minimum of $1,400 extra. So I very much doubt that most people are going to be able to take advantage of the M1 Ultra's power, especially in a work setting, and that the M1 Max is going to be fine for most people. And then the money that you save, the $1,400, you could easily invest that into building your own top-end gaming PC running Windows, and you're going to get access to far better game compatibility and also game performance too. So you should really think long and hard before you pay for these very expensive Apple upgrades, because the cost of those upgrades could easily fund a primary gaming machine. So there are only a couple of exceptions that I can think of. Some people just don't want to have additional devices. You don't want any additional clutter, you don't want an extra gaming console, you don't want other computers lying around, or that you simply just don't have the space for it. So in that case, I definitely say go for it, get the upgrade. It's the only computer you've got, as long as you're satisfied with only being able to play a certain number of games. And as long as that game is compatible with the Mac, for example, Civilization 6, then they're going to be happy with it. And there's upgrades that are going to improve performance for that particular game. But in every other situation, I would definitely suggest buying the cheapest Mac possible for your productivity productivity needs, and definitely not to overinvest in the GPU side unless you would need it for work as well. And that's because the money could definitely be spent better in other areas. So another aspect to think about as well is the second-hand market. So one day when it comes to sell your Mac, what you're going to find is that it's going to be harder to recoup the money that you spent on a higher end upgraded Mac, especially as in the future these high-end Macs are going to be obsoleted and there's actually going to be a greater market for the base models of Macs. So definitely make sure you have that in mind when you invest this money, because you might not get most of it back when you come to sell. So anyway, I hope I've convinced you not to invest too much into the gaming side on Macs, and that you use the money that you save to invest in a better primary gaming machine. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.